I just bought my first rental property and I decided to do a little bit of handyman work myself. The larger items I decided to contract out, like whether it was roofing, siding, windows, flooring, things of that nature. But in this video, we'll go over some small things that I decided to do. So for starters, I had to replace all of the locks on my home, and instead of getting a locksmith, I decided to do it myself. These locks from Lowe's cost me about $30 each. The one in this video probably cost $15 because it was only the doorknob lock and not a bolt on the top. I think this took me about 15-20 minutes to do. It was my first time doing it, so I had to kind of read the directions and learn how to do it. But it was a good experience, and it didn't take too long to do. So all in all, definitely something that you could do on your own and you don't really need to have a locksmith do. However, I will say that sometimes it can be a pain in the butt. And later in this video, I do, some of the other locks on my doors, and it was a pain in the butt. So next, I'm installing some new screen doors. This is in the master bedroom. Typically, the screen doors that I bought would be around $200. I'm not sure if it's $200 per door or $200 for a pair. But anyways, I did not want to spend that money. So what I decided to do instead was go on Craigslist and find screen doors near me. I was trying to save as much money as possible, as anybody would be doing as well. So I did find a pair, got them for $80, saved a good bit of money, and I began to install it, which you see here in the video. Really just trying to make sure that the door is not, unaligned, making sure it opens and closes properly. And I actually did run into an issue, which you'll see here shortly. But after I was able to install the door, I was testing it out, opening it, closing it. And that's when I figured out that I had an issue. The issue being that the door was too tall. So normally doors, standard door dimensions are 80 by 36. 80 inches by 36 inches. And the doors that I had were 80 by 36, but I guess the door frame was like 78 inches instead of 80, or maybe 79 inches instead of 80. So luckily I had a saw with me, but I continued the installation and realized that I was going to need to trim down the screen doors that I just bought, which isn't a problem. I didn't mind it. I just wanted to make it look as good as possible, so when I rent it out, it doesn't, cause any issues for the renters. So I'm still installing the doors here, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, I really hope that the saw that I have will work for this job. And there's my thumbs up saying, okay, cool, we're done. And this is where the fun begins. So you can see me try to close the door, and it doesn't close all the way. So basically right there and then I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to saw it. So I took off the handles on the screen door, measured out where I wanted to cut, how much material I needed to cut off in order to allow the screen doors to close, and got to cutting. What can I say? Cutting it didn't take too long. I ended up putting on my PPE, my gloves, safety glasses, and a hard hat, because when I started sawing, I was getting white particles all over me, which, that's pretty normal, but for some reason, I didn't think I was going to get, messy. But so I put my PPE on and I started cutting the bottom half. When I was cutting the side, that was to make sure the door would, close with respect to the other door. And when I'm cutting the bottom, that's making sure I have enough clearance on the bottom to clear the little step up that you see on the bottom. So I'm really continuing to cut it off because, it's still not fitting. But all in all, I probably got pretty lucky because normally when you buy an oversized door, you're probably, more or less up a creek, you're screwed. So I got lucky. I was able to cut it back and I was able to make it work. Now, I still do have to add a little latch on both doors so that you can close it and lock it from the inside. But yeah, right here, thumbs up, pretty happy that we got the job done. Now, the next thing I did, this is the front door. So I was changing the locks on the front door. There was a smart lock already installed when I bought the house. So I was trying to figure out how to uninstall the smart lock because I needed like a password and a key that I didn't have that I guess the previous owners made. But anyway, so I uninstalled that, installed the one that I bought from Lowe's. This pack was about $35. Like I mentioned earlier in the first portion when I was putting in the lock outside, it's extremely tedious, but it normally doesn't take too long. The more I did it, the more I kind of got used to it. But it can be a extreme pain in the butt because when you're uninstalling and installing the new pieces, you have to put them in the correct order, if that makes sense. Like some parts have to go in before other parts. And if you put it in before the one you're supposed to put in, then you won't know you messed up until the very end when you try to lock it and it won't lock. So it could be extremely tedious, but all in all, I was just happy I was able to do it myself and not have to get a locksmith. Because like I said, trying to save money. But obviously on trades and things of that nature, you have to spend that money. You have to contract it out. Like I mentioned earlier, whether it's roofing, siding, flooring. I actually wanted to do the flooring myself, but I decided it would probably be best if I just let a contractor do it, and then I'll watch them, see how they do it. And then maybe on my next home, I'll decide to do the flooring myself. But I was looking at YouTube videos, and I was actually really thinking about it. Here I'm putting up blinds. So there were no blinds in the master bedroom, which is kind of strange. But when I was installing these blinds, I realized that I absolutely do not like them because the little blinds themselves, the pieces I'm hanging right here, they fall out whenever I try to open and close them. So note to everybody, don't get these kind of blinds. I hate these kind of blinds. Get the ones that have like a string, like the white rope that you can pull them up and, pull them down. That's so much easier than these sliding. It may look cool, but it doesn't work. Like you can see right here, I'm having to put them up because they're falling back down. It was just a pain in the butt. But anyway, we got it done. So now I am changing the locks in the master bedroom. So far I've changed the locks on the outside closet, the front door of the house, and then now we're in the master bedroom. So like I said, making sure I'm putting them on right, because if you put the locks on wrong, it's a pain in the butt because you have to take it off and do it all over again. Now, I want to say for this pair of locks, it only took me about 30 to 50 minutes. And the reason it kind of took me a little bit longer is because I couldn't get the bolt to actually lock. The hole in the other door, which you'll see here in a sec, I had to make the hole bigger because the lock wouldn't go in. So I'm literally using a drill bit, which you shouldn't do, to make the hole bigger. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. So that pretty much wraps up all the DIY that I've done so far, but I am planning on doing more. So when I do it, I'll be sure to post it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about anything that I, did in the video. And if not, then I'll see you next time.